In this video, I want to talk about a reality to marketing that most people just don't understand. How you actually get a return on your investment and what that should look like, how you measure it, and how you know you're doing a good job. When I first learned this originally, it blew my mind. It was like Neo in the Matrix. I finally woke up and saw things for how they were. And I originally learned this from a guy named Russell Brunson. I've only met him briefly, but I was reading so many of his books and going to the seminars and the workshops. So I started to get an understanding of this concept that I want to share with you now that's been very transformative for us. There was a quote that he said that hit me like a ton of bricks because it was actually really deflating, and it was whoever can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. Most people watching this, you're not the biggest company in your industry, which makes you feel like you're at a disadvantage, which can be the case, but there's also something that makes you actually have the advantage when you understand something here and you focus on this one thing, and I want to show you what that is. Right? Most people want to put in $100 and acquire a $10,000 customer. Right? They want to put in $500 a month, have a flow of new leads, even though they sell something that's thousands of dollars. Right? That's not going to typically be able to happen because there's other people that are willing to spend money to acquire those customers. And if people could get a 10x, 20x, 30x, 50x ROI on their money, every company would be a billion-dollar company. Right? So I want to reframe this in your mind, and it was reframed in my mind, say, man, if I could just acquire a customer for free, I could get an infinite number of customers. Think about it. If you can get a customer for free, meaning whatever you put in, you immediately got out, you could spend unlimited money, right? Because you could acquire these customers. Now you might be saying, that's not great because then I'm not making any money. Now I'm not saying you're acquiring the customer for free on the lifetime value of the customer. I'm talking about that initial transaction with them. And I'll show you what I mean here. I think it's going to make more sense with some of these examples. Here's an example of how the game's won. Let's just say your average customer is $200 in profit, purchases once per year, and stays for an average of 5 years, right? That's huge. How much would you be willing to pay to acquire this customer, right? There's $10, $50, $100, $200, $500, and most of the answers I usually get are maybe 10 or 50. But the truth is, if you just broke even, their lifetime profit, lifetime value, for example, or lifetime profit value is 500 in this example. So in the first year, if you broke even, you would actually acquire this customer for free and then have them for another 4 years on average, right? That's a shift in psychology that I think is so useful, because if you think about it like your stock portfolio, if your broker came to you and said, listen, you're going to make an investment that's $0 return on the first year, but every year after that, it's 100% in profit. Would you make that investment? Of course, right? Everyone's like, yeah, where can I sign up? I'll put in all the money I own right now, right? This is fantastic. If you knew this was guaranteed in this hypothetical example. So this is the concept to kind of drill into our minds, is that the winning formula for marketing is figuring out how to acquire customers, ideally profitably. Of course, if you could do that, that's great. But even if you could acquire them for free, at least on that initial transaction, you can basically spend unlimited money. So let me show you what I mean by that. Let's say this is $250 per order in profit, and they order 4 times a year. Spending $250 to acquire that customer is a no-brainer, right? Especially if they stay multiple years. But let's just use 1 year as an example. $250 per order. So the first one you literally break even, and then you have 3 more that are all profit from that customer that you acquired. Hopefully that's sinking in and making some sense. Same thing here. If there's a customer that's $15,000 of profit per year, they stay for an average of 7 years. We're talking about $100,000 over the course of time. Spending $15,000 to acquire that customer is not that bad. Obviously, in an ideal world, you're spending 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that range. But even in this, you still are going to make a significant amount of money. All right, $50 in profit per month, you'd easily spend $50 to acquire that customer. That literally just means the first month you're break even, and every month after that you're in profit. Hopefully this is making some sense. I know it's like the math is simple, but it's just the concept for me, at least when I first heard it. It's like, wow, I need to have a more realistic expectation about what it's going to take to acquire these customers, because everyone else is fighting for the same customer and they're willing to spend money too. So this is another interesting example. I'm going to give you a real life example of how this works so well. So there's also a way to use complementary services to make money. So in this example, $15,000 of profit, $15,000 to acquire the customer, but on average, every customer that buys service A will then buy service B. And that's going to have profit built into it. And I'm going to give you a great example and a quick story here that I think will illustrate this really well. I find this story so interesting because there was a period of time back in the 1990s that some guy came up with a crazy idea of offering free oil changes with the purchase of a new car. This was GM. It was their Saturn brand at the time. They obviously expanded to other lines. Saturn doesn't exist anymore, but it was a truly brilliant idea because here was the concept. Car companies make a lot of money on their service, right? Not the actual sale of the car. That's typically how it works. And people were freaking out when they heard, you're going to give away free oil changes? What are you, nuts? The reality was, people are going to come in for their oil change, which is a very low cost service and very low cost to deliver that service, but then they're going to have that car there. And what are they going to do when that car is there? They're going to pitch them, they need a new air filter. Oh wait, your tires are low. You need alignment, you need this, you need that. The next thing. They're going to be the go-to spot and be able to get all of that service and probably get that service more frequently because most people aren't going to service their car as frequently as they need an oil change. But if they're coming in for a free oil change, it gives them the opportunity to what they call mine for gold, right? You can talk about the ethics and morals of this, but basically going through the car and seeing what they could fix or what they could offer to fix to the individual customer. Pretty unique idea, and also was adapted or used by companies, and I fell victim to this myself, which is like these total care packages from heating and air conditioning companies, right? For X dollars a year, which is almost nothing, they're going to come out twice a year and look at your HVAC unit or your air conditioning system, give it a tune-up, whatever that means, right? But in reality, every time these people come, they're recommending something that I do. Sometimes, I shouldn't say always, I have a really good company that does that for me. I don't feel like they're trying to nickel and dime me, but it just makes sense to have that relationship with the customer. Plus, then when they're there and they're mentioning, oh, we also do water heaters, and then yours breaks, you already have this relationship built with this company, so it just makes total sense that you're probably going to use them for that service as well. Hopefully that's making sense. So you're acquiring the customer for free or break even and being able to use the ancillary services in this example or other complementary services, cross-selling them to be profitable there. Hopefully that's making some sense. Now, hopefully that's making sense. But still, think about yourself or people you know. You still probably feel like, oh, I only want to put $500 a month into marketing or this much into marketing. It all depends on your customer value. If you're a restaurant, you can't spend as much to acquire a customer than if you're a managed IT company that's servicing clients that have at least 500 users, right? It's just totally different, but the math's all the same, right? You have to figure out a way to acquire customers for profitably or at least break even. So you might be saying, what does all this mean? Where are you going with this? What I'm saying is you don't need to have an actual fixed marketing budget ever. And the reason is if you're acquiring customers profitably, especially break even at least, but profitably, why would you ever have a capped marketing budget? People ask me all the time, what should my marketing budget be? Again, if you figured out this formula, it's infinite, right? There is no marketing budget. There doesn't need to be one. Because if you're running ads or you're doing some type of marketing where you're putting $1 in and getting multiple dollars out, right? This magic machine where you're sticking $1 in and profitably getting money out, you would never say, hey, my budget's only $500 a month or $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month. Who would say that if you had this machine that was statistically printing money for you, right? Making more return on your investment every single time you put money in, right? No one would do that. Hopefully that's tracking and making some sense. So when you embrace this, you start to think about marketing strategies in a more realistic way, at more realistic numbers. And when you can do this, you can outspend your competition because you're focused on the right things, right? You're not focused on putting $1 in and getting $10,000 out. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen, right? You have to figure out a way where you're actually being profitable to acquire these customers. Now, if you had a formula, this formula, you could totally dominate your competition. Hopefully you'd agree. And I'm happy to help try to give you that formula because there is a way. There's a way above all other ways to do this, right? There's a way to statistically track what's working and what's not, how to deploy the money in various areas, see which one's returning the most, double down on that. And I want to show you what that formula is, but that's going to be in the next video or two. So do me a favor, like and subscribe so that you don't miss that next video, because I promise I'm going to show you exactly step-by-step how to do that. I hope this was valuable for you. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next video.